Well, there's two thoughts that come to mind for me there.
Okay. Let's just get pushing Flat Stanley off, the rotten tomato, the bird, and the... There's nothing there.
There's not enough room on this table.
No, it's blank
Get them out of
space.
shot. Get them out of shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's two things that come to mind there. The first one is the relationship between those objects is fascinating.
Yeah.
But there's also something about the relationship between equally unusual thoughts that arrive or are evoked in our brains, right? In the creative process.
Randomly, kind of.
Yeah, because it's certainly...
Are we talking consciously or in a dream state or both?
Well, this is potentially something that I'd like to sort of dig into a little bit is, you say, I'm not sure where they come from.
Yes.
And when we talk about accumulating and curating objects in an installation, you can imagine that question of where did they come from is an easier one to answer, right? I accumulated these over the years. I went to this charity shop or I went to this antique store.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I acquired them.
Yeah.
And I decided to exhibit them in this way.
Yeah.
Thoughts obviously aren't like that, but they can be equally absurd and unlikely.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'd be curious to understand, if you can, how it is that those thoughts arise, or at least how is it that you weave together, and forgive the pun.
No, that's fine. That's okay.
How is it that you weave together these unlikely thoughts?
Okay, well, I know for a fact that one of the channels through which that desire and that compulsion, that absolutely have to do that, is from a certain kind of dream that I have on quite a regular basis. This dream, it's not always the same dream, but I'm inside of an enormous performance space, a huge theatre. So it's like Madison Square Garden, which is a big space in the States, and there are only 1,000 people looking, so the whole of the space is available, and I'm with all of the special people that I've made work with over the years. So Desperate Optimist, Joe and Christine, who I made experimental theatre with members of Forced Entertainment, who I made work with Richard, who I'm making a film with other artists. And we are involved in the most extraordinarily complex and beautiful experimental theatre performance where unbelievable things suddenly appear that you couldn't possibly get into Madison. You can't get a fighter jet into Madison Square Garden and get it to actually fly around. At least I don't think you can. It wouldn't work. Well, maybe it would. I don't know. And then suddenly there are termites' nests. How come? And this theatre piece in the dream, this theatre piece and my role in it, which changes constantly. And sometimes I'm this big in it, and sometimes I'm enormous. And the narrative is unbelievably it makes no sense outside of the dream, but inside the dream, it's like, of course that scene is followed by that scene is followed by that scene, even though logically they make no sense whatsoever. So, and I call this world my tumultuous world.
Wow.
It's my tumultuous experimental theatre world in my dreams. And when they're called, what do they call those dreams? It's almost like a waking reality.
Oh, it's a lucid dream.
Lucid dream, yeah. So not all the time, but sometimes those are lucid dreams. And when it's a lucid dream, it's even weirder, as you can probably imagine, because you actually feel inside it rather than feeling as if you're looking at it. So when I come out of one of those, and sometimes I half come out of it, so I'm still I'm doing that with my eye. I'm sort of, am I back in the real world or still lucid dreaming? I start to get I look around the place that I'm in, and I start to put things with other things that maybe come from. Some of them have come out of the lucid dream, and I put them with those beer mats or those glasses or this microphone, and they somehow work. And then I've always got near to me, I've always got a pen and paper or a notebook and a pen, and I'll just write random things down as they occur to me, sometimes doing that in lucid dreams. And then when I look at them, it's usually a combination of objects, or it's a snippet of text that implies an arrangement of objects in some way, shape, or form. So sometimes my text comes straight from those things. I don't have to invent it. It's already written in my head. But usually the combination of little groups of objects, never the whole thing. I never have. So that piece of work in my room, I didn't know where the hell it was going to go when I started it. When I put the first bit on the wall, I didn't know what it was going to look like 300 or 400 pieces later, because there's a lot of pieces in it. And it changed and changed and changed. And I thought, oh, Weaver, for goodness sake, just finish it, for Christ's sake. And my friends were going, Weaver, are you still working on that piece in your bedroom a year and a half later? And I said, yeah, of course I am. You know what I'm like. One piece a year is fine. But this is one piece every 1.5 years, Weaver. I said, but I'm making 2 pieces of work, so that's fine. That was my excuse. So it is finished. And all I need to do is to... So is that sort of an answer to your question?
Well, it sort of...
Or was it? Did I go off on one?
In relation to this, though,
yeah.
I'd love to understand how it feels like, or what that sort of process is of reaching a revelation that this is now, this segment of this installation is now, these pieces fit together, these objects fit together. And then how does that sort of scale to the full installation, to the point where you think,
all right. Well,
this is complete now?
All right, it's a bit like, it feels like all those bits are in place, and that feels like a new language suddenly, like a language that I've never spoken before, and that is my language. It's my secret language that nobody else knows. Nobody else knows the words for, or the grammar, or the syntax, and nobody else can speak it apart from me. So it's a private language.